Hello, hello, and welcome to today's show of JALI Talks. Tonight's guest, oh yes, applause. Tonight's guests are co-founders and co-inventors, Chris Landreth and Piff Edwards. Come on out, gentlemen. Yeah. How you doing? Handshake, you know. Oh, hey, Chris. Piff, get out here. Nice to meet you. All right. You can sit.
Nice to be here.
You can sit, gentlemen. So we're just going to kick this off, and first I'd like to have you introduce yourselves. So.
Can the live stream people see us?
Oh yeah, we're good. We're live streaming. We're good. Yeah. So gentlemen, don't forget to use your microphones. Awesome. So Piff, tell me a little bit more about yourself.
My name is Piff Edwards. I'm the CTO of JALI and co-founder. I'm a PhD student. I think still a PhD student. I have a company now, so it's hard to tell. And a lot of this work came out of my research in computer science, obviously, and emotion research. I also have originally. Way back, I have a theater degree, so I'm also interested in sort of general narrative and drama, and that's sort of like the root of why my computer science degree went, computational linguistics and all this stuff went to where it did. I think that's enough.
And Piff, just before we move on to Chris, I realize we should have started with this. Can you explain to the folks back home what JALI is?
Glad you asked. So with JALI system, it animates the face. So with text and sound. So what they say, written out, and the sound file itself. It does speech, expression, brow, so brow behavior like emphasis on what words, eyes, blinks, neck motion, and what we call speech style. So that's talking through your teeth or talking like this, Novocaine, I guess. So different visual speech style. I may have missed one, but that's the basic model, and it works. The way we describe it, I guess, is intervention, human intervention when required or when you want. So we can pump out, I guess we'll talk about the original job, but you can pump out 30,000 lines and not really pay a lot of attention to them, or pump out a few really important ones, and our tool helps you polish them and get them just right. Is that good?
Thank you, Piff. That's great.
Awesome.
I see you've been working on your elevator pitch. And Chris, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
I've been doing stuff.
Hold the mic a little closer to your mouth, please.
Can you guys hear me right just like that? Okay. Hi.
Maybe a little less close.
So I am an animator and a filmmaker. I've been doing both of those things for way too long, decades. As an animator, I was part of the company Alias back in the 90s, and as many of you older people out there might know, Alias was the designer and creator of the tool called Maya. So I was part of that Maya development team then, and one of my job there as an animator was to basically use this developing software and make creative stuff with it, animation. So I made a film that some people may know out there called Bingo. After that, I joined up with the National Film Board, made 4 short films with the National Film Board. All this while, I was doing my own research on faces and facial animation, and taught a course about 10 years ago in which my star student in that course was this gentleman here.
Thank you.
Yes. So, flash forward by 6 years, and I come on as an artist in residence at the University of Toronto, and there's Piff, and he's doing facial animation stuff. So we write a paper together. We present it at SIGGRAPH 2016. People like it. Here we are now with a company called JALI.
Thank you, Chris. And if I'm not mistaken, you also won an Academy Award, correct?
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. Thanks for bringing that up, Dave.
You're very welcome, Chris.
Yeah.
And so you talked a little bit about how you and Piff connected, but can you tell me a little bit more about how JALI as a company came to be?
Sure. What Chris said, we got a paper in 2016. I need to just say one thing, which is in 2015 we submitted it, and they rejected it, saying it was impossible. That was like, wow, that's, you're lying. You're like, well, what do I have 250 words to say, no, I'm not lying. It's true, it works. And so when we did it the second time, we had a lot of pictures to show that it really works. But we got a paper in 2016, and then we had a lot of attention. Different companies talking to us, hey, can you build this? Can you make it for our game? Or can you make it for this system or whatever? And one company that stood out was when CD Projekt Red contacted us for Cyberpunk2077 and said, hey, can you build it for our game? And what I didn't know at the time is just a shout out to them anyways, is how brave that is. Like, it's a paper, it's not a product. And they're gonna sink all their faces, float or sink their faces based on our tech. And they provided tons of advice and helped us make the tool that it is today. And so that's what happened. They gave us money. They said, just make it for the community. We don't want to own it. You guys own it, which was awesome. They gave us a ton of advice. They flew us out there 5 times or something like that, and helped us, sharpen it up. And for their game, their problem was they had 30,000 lines per language.
50,000 lines.
30,000 lines per language, and there's 11 languages to get through. I mean, and it's, there's Portuguese and there's Japanese and there's all these languages that maybe their QA team doesn't even recognize so well. So we had to make sure the tool worked in all these languages, and that the brows raised when the emphasis was in French and they said a line a certain way, or Polish versus English, that the brows, the emotion, everything hit specific to the lines, and it does, and it did. So that was, I think do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think you pretty much got it. Like, we had this product shaped by, in this one case, this CD Projekt Red for this particular game, Cyberpunk, that they're working on. But I will say one of the things that kind of shaped in JALI, and the way that we are building stuff as a company, is that we are incredibly engaged with our clients, with our customers, and the way that the software is able to work. I mean, we could get into the guts of it, but the way built into our software is this kind of flexibility that has allowed us to adapt and change and to upgrade and improve and very quickly. Like, for example, we could bring up the Slavic thing, sure. For example,
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, for example, we originally did in English. I have a linguistic background a bit, anyways, and I knew that there's little challenges going to other languages, but I definitely don't know the details of, say, Polish. Of course, they do. They're from Poland, and so one example was we did
cha. Okay,
cha sound.
So in English you've got cha, but in Polish you've got cha, but you've also got cha, right? And they sound sort of the same, but they're really different. How do we get that in there? So person at CDPR was saying, well, we need to have this extra kind of phoneme in there. And within a day, I think, there was this new phoneme in our software.
Yeah, yes. we made it work, and we call it decidedly Slavic TSI, so it's just a sound. And then we're like, oh, great. And so we're able to adapt, or we want to, or we're built in a way that we work with the customer so much that we made our software so it quickly adapts to, like, oh, that's what you need? Cool, let's do it. And so that's because we worked with CDPR so closely, and they had requests like that we weren't.
Yeah, and it's made the company, as far as like the way that we do stuff, it's not just that we're putting out a product. We are engaged with our customers, and the way that we are able to upgrade and change code is very nimble. We're very flexible on that, and we're able to put stuff into the software with incredible rapid turnaround.
Cool. And so you talk about CDPR being your first project, Cyberpunk 2077. pretty cool first IP. I know you're both nerds, and so if there was any one IP that you'd want to work on, maybe we'll start with you, Piff. If there's any one IP you'd want to work on, what would it be and why?
Oh man, it's like picking your favorite kid. I don't want to say. Star 40,000 Lego. I don't know. I love Lego. I love Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I'd love to work in Star Wars, any Star Wars game. But, what I want, it actually doesn't matter, because what I like to do, I think, is, like most of us in the room, is make these worlds real and believable. And by believable, I always mean that, like, no, it's plausible, it's interesting, but believable is when you start to connect to the characters and connect to the dialogue. Like, you start to, like, this is an entity, a person who could feel pain. It's not just some geometry and a sound file being played at the same time. Like, when you start to feel like a connection to the stuff. And so, for me, it's like when we make a world, and even if it's on a minor IP or just someone's pet project, I like it when we make it real. Like, when you can believe it, when you're just like, oh, no, I'm feeling this now. So, I don't know. There's my lame answer, Chris.
That's a great answer. Anything from you, Chris?
Well, okay, so I come at this as an animator, someone who has spent decades trying to learn the craft of animation, of putting keyframes down and making a character come alive by my own craft, right? And here I am, part of this company that is doing all that stuff procedurally, right? But the thing is that I'm behind that. And as an animator, and I'm going to answer your question here, the IP that I want this to go on is my next film. Seriously.
As you should.
And as an animator, right? Because this stuff is good. This stuff comes from our own insight into what animation is and what filmmaking and acting and storytelling is, and what we would, the big test for me is, can I make my own film with the same kind of convincing animation, facial animation that I've done over the years, and have this done here, in which I'm overseeing it as a director. That's what I want to do. That's the IP that I want this to go into.
Well, we're going to have to give you some space and make
Thanks,
you work
man.
a little less
Yeah,
so you
we'll
can actually
talk
make a
about
movie.
that,
We'll talk
soon.
after.
Yeah.
Okay, so last question before we show them some of the goods. I actually this is not one that we were going to ask before, but one I want to ask is, because if there's one thing you want, the people in the audience here and the folks watching at home to know about JALI, like, there's one thing about JALI that you want people to know, what would it be?
I want to use your line, the one
Do
you
it.
made up. Okay, so this guy came up with the great tagline that I'm going to be ripping off forevermore. Okay, so what I'm saying is that, yeah, you have procedural animation here, it's done automatically, but we're not divorcing this from the craft of animation, right? So you have, with JALI, the ability to get something out of the box, but we keep the stuff there for animators to use their craft on it easily later on. And the tagline is, JALI creates human shape.
I should use that in my sales calls. Piff?
I'm going to be sort of close on that because, AI is the big topic. It's the topic of the day. And there's... So the way we see it, and it's sort of on what Chris just said, is, the AI, whether it's ChatGTP and you're writing a script or whatever you're using DALL-E or whatever it is, it's going to get you to a spot. But the key is to, like, iterate, creative process is still alive, iterate, watch, and change that. And so for me, what I want JALI to be, well, now, but also in the future, is to help, as the AI behind JALI and behind other tools improve, we want to be the tool, and we want to make tools that, for a case in animation, animate in the channels that expert users are used to. So for example, you want to see the animation curves, you can see them. It's not just pixel on a screen and you just have to do whatever ChatGPT gives you or DALL-E gives you. That it's actually animated into the channels you're used to, so if you ever need to everything's great except, this blinks in the wrong spot, and trying to find, the right words in order to tell the machine to what to do. You can just go, oh, no, let's just get rid of that. Boop, delete, done. Like we animate within those same channels. So for me, the key is that as AI gets better and gets closer and closer to that final result you want, to still be able to get the user to pick the result they like, get the result they want, get to that desirable state, not just good. So use their taste and their interest to push it. And so our tools and the way we're thinking now and in the future, especially with these other tools and integrating them, how do we make that interface that a visual person is going to want to use? How do we make that interface that the animator is sort of used to enough that doesn't just break all of the way they're used to animating? So yeah, I don't know if that's what you're asking.
A long answer to a short question,
There
Biff.
you go.
But okay, so I think they're probably sick of hearing us and looking at us. So why don't we switch it over and show a little bit of animation?
Yeah, let's do it. There's a little logistical thing here, though, because I'm going to be here.
Want me to hold it?
Yes, you may have to hold
Thank
the
you.
microphone for me. So are we looking at...
So the
Tell what we're
screen is
looking at.
now your screen.
All right, so yeah.
No longer us.
All right, so you know what? Thank you. One thing that we wanted to do for this was to pick a classic moment from a game. Can you hear us? We good with audio visual quality here?
Talk a little closer to the mic, please, Chris.
Hello?
Not that close. Okay, so
No,
doing
not
a
that
little
close.
testing checky thing here, so you can hear me. Yeah, everyone can hear me. All right, so can you see a character on a screen right now as well? Okay, so yeah, good. So what I was saying was to prep for this, we were like, what's a really cool line from a really cool game that's would really challenge our software to do a good facial performance? So we picked something from Far Cry Insanity.
Far Cry
Insanity.
3.
Far Cry 3. This is
Shout out to Ubisoft.
yeah.
Thank
Okay,
you.
So the dude here, the actor on this is Mandy. Can't remember his last name.
It's Mandy, the voice actor, because we want to give credit where
We
credit
wanna
is
give
due,
credit.
always.
Doing credit where credit is.
As my animator says, his name is Michael Mando, who plays Vass in Far Cry 3, but notably played a pivotal role in AMC's Better Call Saul.
Okay,
So
so-
also shout out to Michael Mando.
Yeah, Michael Mando did this line here, which a lot of you may know from Far Cry. So this is we call the Insanity line. It's a 1.5-minute monologue, in which he's playing this dude named Vass, and Vass, as many of you know, is this kind of psychopath, and he is engaging with you as the first person, and he's saying this line here.
Insanity is doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again, expecting shit to change. That is crazy. But the first time somebody told me that, I don't know, I thought they were bullshitting me, so boom, I shot him. The thing is, okay, he was right. And then I started seeing it everywhere I looked. Everywhere I looked, all these fucking pricks. Everywhere I looked, doing the exact same fucking thing. Over and over and over and over and over again. Thinking, this time is gonna be different. No, please. This time is gonna be different. I'm sorry. I don't like the way you are looking at me. Okay? You have a fucking problem in your head. Do you think I'm bullshitting you? Do you think I'm lying? Fuck you! Okay? Fuck you! It's okay, man. I'm gonna chill, man. I'm gonna chill. The thing is, alright? The thing is, I killed you once. And it's not like I am fucking crazy. It's okay. It's like water under the bridge. Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
Thank you for running that, Chris. And so now I'd love us to deconstruct that a little bit. And now I know, because we are not doing any smoke and mirrors. There were a couple moments where you added a little extra love outside of the procedural system, correct?
That is correct.
They can't hear you.
So, you could, sorry, I'm not going to do that same thing again. So, yeah, what you saw there was JALI animation. However, as Dave said, it's not quite 100% JALI animation. It's maybe, well, I'll show you how much of that was actually. I'm going to show you the part right now. I'm just going to play through a little bit here. I'm going to show you the part that was not JALI animated, okay? That was instead keyframed by me. Okay, so we're going to play a little bit of this back.
Insanity is doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again, expecting shit to change. That is crazy. But the first time somebody told me that, I don't know, I thought they were bullshitting me, so boom.
Oh, see, that part was not JALI.
The thing is, okay.
This sniff there,
He was
not
right.
JALI.
And then I started seeing it everywhere I looked. Everywhere I looked, all these fucking pricks. Everywhere I looked,
I mean, he
doing the
sniffs.
exact
Sorry, I'm going to stop there
same
right
fucking
now.
thing.
Like, I played, about 1/3 of the whole length. If I play the whole thing, you'll see that there are a couple of other places where I added a tiny bit of animation just because it looks a little sweeter with that. But otherwise, no. Everything else, I'm going to just play this back from the beginning.
Insanity.
All of the
Is
facial expression, lip
doing the
syncing,
exact
all the secondary
Same
animation that you
fucking
see
thing
is JALI.
over and over again, expecting.
You want to
shit
pause it
change.
now?
Yeah, we're going to pause it now.
Stop with the
Just
swears
wanted
for the
to get
kids
that
back home.
across there. Is that?
Okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, because so it's pretty much 100% JALI you saw there with with the addition of a couple of sniffs and grunts that I put in after the fact.
And now, Chris, I notice in that performance the emotional bearing seems to change quite often. And how'd you go about doing that?
Right. So I mean, yeah, in a performance particularly a performance that's long here, like a minute and a half long. I mean, first of all, I'm going to say this worked completely out of the box. There's something like 700 words that he says over a minute and a half. And he's saying them in these different, he's growling some of them, he's whispering some of them, muttering some of them. I put this through once, first time, and the lip sync that you see here is what came out. It's out of the box, literally. The emotional stuff is where you start to have fun, okay? So in this particular clip here, he's going like, sorry, I'm just freezing on random frames here. He's, right there, he's showing a little bit of consternation. And then he goes into this laugh right in here. Then he goes into this kind of menacing, snarling look of disgust right here, and so on. If you count them, he goes through 12 different emotional changes over the course of this clip. And this is the great thing about JALI and the interface that you as an animator have with JALI, is that you go through these different emotional changes by this process we call tagging. Okay, so with tagging, you are basically marking up the transcript of the dialogue with the emotional state that you would like that actor to be in and the emotional kind of transition that you want that actor to do. So in this case, and this is really important here, it's with this tagging that you as an animator kind of cross a line from being simply an animator to being a director. You are actually directing these characters in a analogous way that a director would be getting an actor or an actress to get that performance right, because you know what the emotion, you as the director know what that emotion is, what the storytelling part needs to convey in terms of expression, and you're able to do that with JALI in a way that you would have never been able to do before.
Now, Chris, before you move on, I see a question from Carly, who's watching at home, and they ask, can you set up your own phoneme shapes?
I'm going to show you. Oh, I'm glad.
I know, it's a good question. That's why I asked.
It's a really good question. So what we have in terms of phonemes, sorry, I'm just going to back up a little bit. So with JALI, there is a very big, important rigging part of JALI here. So what you're seeing here are 30 different phonemes. These are universal phonemes that are covered in pretty much the entirety of the English language, but also all of the other languages that we are employing, which is now 12, going on 13 different languages. So, for example, I'm going to bring up the phoneme E. Okay, so let's bring that up. So, there our friend is pronouncing that E phoneme. I'm going to make that really, really exaggerated like that. So, really pronouncing E like so. So, what you can do as far as custom phonemes. Sorry, I have to do two things at once here. Okay, hold the mic. Thank you. Mic stand. Are we? All right. So, one thing you do with each and every one of these phonemes is you can customize these various settings on lips and jaw. Okay. So, like for example, here I'm just going totally off kilter here, way off model. But one thing that we're trying to get across, and this is a really important thing, is that JALI is really smart when it comes to lip sync and phonemes in particular. In that JALI knows that it's not just a phoneme pose. That phoneme pose is made up of different components of what are called action units. If the animators are out there probably are familiar with the term FACS, F-A-C-S. Well, with FACS, you have these action units. One of the things that we do really well, is to be able to combine those FACS action units in very smart ways that allow, for example, the customization of each and every one of the mouth shapes that we call visemes.
So the answer is yes.
Yeah.
The answer is yes. I know the answer is yes, yes.
The problem with us is that both of us give really long answers to short questions, man. You can't shut us up.
Now, I feel like we'd love to turn it over to some questions, either from the audience here in the room, or if there's anyone on the Twitch stream who has any questions. Any questions? Then I think we can. Oh.
Can it output curve data from just a wave file to an to like a format of attention read? Is that what Cyberpunk was having you do? Like they had lines of dialogue playing. Did they export animations from Maya, or was it some sort of file that could translate audio to curve data that their engine might cost? How is that export process?
Okay, can I try that? All right, so porting is a big thing that we pay lots of attention to here. I'll point out one thing about animation curves in general in Maya, then I'll get to trying to answer your question, which is that the curves that come out of J-Sync and that are, can you hold this for me? I can hold it. Thank you. Yes, good. So the curves that come out of this thing, this part of Maya that is called J-Sync. Let's see if I can bring this up. There we go. I'm bringing up the the graph editor. Yay, there's the graph editor. So I've just selected one of the phonemes, and what you see in the graph editor is an animation curve for, in this case, that phoneme okay? And what you see straight coming out of Maya, out of J-Sync, are these very, hopefully if you do lip sync, you'll find these familiar, these peaks and valleys here. What these are, all the peaks are where he says right? So, but the thing I'm pointing out before I answer your question is that these are sparse animation curves, and we do that sparse animation curve approach so that you as an animator can go in and edit these things easily as you would any animation curves. Now, as far as what's exported, like say if you were bringing this into Unreal, I don't know if you're using MetaHumans or if you're using like your own proprietary rig with a skeletal mesh and pose assets. We have this major thing that we've worked on, which you can see. I'm just going to show the menu item. I'm not going to try to run it here, but this thing here, batch align animate folder. Okay, so with that batch align animate folder, you would set like for porting a skeletal mesh from Maya to Unreal with appropriate animation curves on those joints and blend shapes and stuff. Yeah, those joints are baked and exported perfectly, and we've had at this point probably a couple of dozen customers use it in this porting operation between Maya and Unreal, and it is incredibly well, perfectly preserved animation. With MetaHumans, you can do this through the the face board, which is shared between Unreal and Maya, and those curves port perfectly.
So, yeah, you can export as FBX. If you don't want Maya in your animation pipeline, we have an Unreal tool, which is in beta right now.
Yeah.
But in Cyberpunk, as I remember, it was all from Maya, FBX out and in. I wasn't actually there for, like, I was pre-production guy. Oh, it's production, get out of the room. But that's the system we worked on, was to do that. I think that answers your question. Okay.
Thank you for the question. We have another question from the folks watching at home. And the first question is, does it work with different rigs?
Whoa.
Why, yes, it does.
Hey,
Oh, wow.
Okay. So the thing that the rig that you see here, the character, is one of our rigs, internal rigs. We call her Valley Girl, or in this case, he's a boy, so Valley Boy. So the thing about the rigging part of Maya is, to answer with a long answer, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
amazed that
no.
you just answered in that short amount of
Yeah,
time.
no,
That's
no,
great. There's more questions, though. So,
So just quickly, just incredibly quickly, I'm just showing the window here. This is a window we call JRigger. With JRigger, you are able to take your character, whatever configuration your character is, whether it's bones, blend shapes, whatever other deformers you have, and you will connect up the poses for your character to these individual, in this case, fax poses with JRig. And what I'm showing you here is a list. We call it Quick Fax. It's a list of 25 different poses. If you do these quick fax poses, and if you do jaw poses, like basically jaw open, jaw thrust, jaw left, right, and if you do the eye poses, like eyes left, right, down, up, etc., that comes out to something like 40 poses in total. And yeah, doing this on any arbitrary rig is we tried to make it, and I think we succeeded in making it a very simple, straightforward, and fun operation to do. And yeah, once you get these poses connected, your rig's ready to go with JALI, any rig.
and are those connections exportable?
That's what I was going to say.
Really?
Yeah, once you do it once,
Whoa,
any
I'm glad
similarly
you asked. So,
created rig.
Once you do it on that one rig, in this case,
can hear you.
Valley
You
Boy.
gotta-
Once you do it on that one rig, Valley Boy, then in JRigger you have this thing here called export and import JRig connections. And what those two menu items mean is that if you have 400 other rigs of other characters in your game or your production, and if those characters have the same naming conventions, bones, blend shapes are the same between one rig and the next, then yes, you export from Valley Boy here, and you can import onto Valley Girl over there, and boom, you're ready to go with 2 or more, or 300 characters if need be, pretty instantly.
Thank you for that great answer. And also let us know when we're on time. But another question from the audience there outside is, could this also be used on highly stylized characters?
Well, you should probably take
No,
that on.
you're doing good. I'm happy not to talk, so you're doing
I
good.
mean, yeah, we have used this on
But you got to put your mic up a bit.
sorry. Okay, yeah. Okay, so yes, you can use basically characters that have those kinds of like low. I'm just going to say a few examples: lower lip down, smiling, upper lip up, eyes down, etc. Cartoon characters do those things. Cartoon characters have action units just like human beings do. Another long answer. Yes.
But also, I am interested in working with companies that have, characters with multiple eyes, antennas, so I can get the emotional state of, say a dog character where the ears get sad. Like, I want to add that stuff too. So I'm totally interested in really non-human characters, spider characters, I don't know, whatever you got, to work with them. So, to grow the tool, but I'm interested in what emotion would look like on, let's say, I don't know, spiders, whatever you got, aliens. So yeah, and so far it's worked on every rig we've thrown it at, realistic or not.
Awesome. And now for the questions from JD Smith and Bumper Studio, email us at info@JALI Research, and I will answer those via email. Can't answer them on a live stream, unfortunately. And the last question, although we personally don't really want, okay, so I'm going to ask this question because, anyways, what makes JALI better than, and we're not going to answer that because that's up to the end user to decide, but what makes us different from other facial animation solutions?
Okay. All right. So we want to refrain from telling you that we are the best. And we're
That's
not
up to the end user to decide.
we're not saying that because you guys who will be using JALI will be the judge of the quality. But I will say some things that we paid a lot of attention to make this, to make a character face look believable and trustworthy, not uncanny valley like in the way that they talk, express, and show awareness of the world as real people do. For example, in speech, okay, we put a lot of attention to the way that human beings actually talk, the way they form their lips, and it's actually pretty complex. And I'm going to use this word that's actually one of those big nightmare words that we worked through, and that word is co-articulation. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that term. Co-articulation is the thing that makes believable human speech difficult to do. And one of the things that's built into JALI is an incredible way of taking not just one phoneme posing to another phoneme and so on, is that because I was mentioning before, we look in the very minute level of facts movements. These characters do co-articulation in a way that is remarkable, okay, just on the speech side. As far as like the expression side, this is actually where Piff and his theater background really came into like a great deal of like relevance here, which is that there are, if you read about the way we show emotion on our face, we have different ways of showing it. One way is superficially, okay? When I'm talking now, my eyebrows are going up and down. This is we build this, of course, into the way that this character speaks, but then there's another way that we show emotion, which is the unintentional part, the what you call deeper emotion. Paul Ekman, the person who popularized facts, called that interaction, he called that leakage, right? Where you may be trying to express one thing but feeling another, okay? And we put that leakage into the character animation that you get with JALI, and so you can get complexity, you can get subtext, right? You can get hidden feelings coming out in a way that you're going to find just incredible.
Guys,
Yeah.
I think that's all the time we have. Wait,
Oh, that's good.
Okay, it keeps drifting away, yeah.
Well, I guess, Piff, do you want to just add anything to that?
No, I don't think. I can't remember the question now.
Just what differentiates JALI from other similar solutions?
One thing Chris showed, like I said, it's really an aspect that I find important. The more AI sort of produces, is to produce, whatever in this case, animation, to produce animation curves that are the kind of curves that you want to edit, are the kind of curves you're used to seeing, and it continues. Like we work within Maya in an animating environment with the idea that you're supposed to be doing this iteratively. You're supposed to hit buttons, play with it, see what you like, then throw JALI away, edit till you're done, and then export. If you wanted to get really high quality, so your gold standard sort of animation for your main characters, whatever. But at the same time, like when Chris was showing batching, that you can batch out. You want to fill a world with characters, and you literally don't have. If you've looked at the animation from all, you've already failed, right? Like you have 10,000 lines that you want to do in this town alone. So you're arguing couple in the bar, whatever. You want to get them out. you want to make sure you can get those out. And so you can choose to just have JALI spit them out. But if there's one in particular you want to go on, you can open it up and have the same tools available for you to bring up that performance if for some reason that becomes important to you, the maker of the game. That to me is one of the important aspects, is that the way I want the UX to be is, as the UI gets better job, you can always step in and make the changes you need to bring it up to the next level.
That's fantastic. I'll add one more thing too, and then I think we will actually wrap it up. And I don't want to call it a differentiator because I don't want to speak and I don't know how the other companies work. But you guys touched on it a bunch, and I think it's the collaboration. We make tools that video game companies use. You make the games. And the video game industry is full of incredibly smart people. And we really like to listen to our clientele, and we like to improve our product because of it. And it's one of those things where, 7 years ago it was a thought in your head. And now we work with like over 50 studios. And every team we work with, we learn something new, and the product gets better. And so I think I don't know if that's a differentiator, because I don't know how other people work, but that's something that, and to me, it's the best part of this job, is getting to interact with the smart people who have problems, because goodness knows there are a lot of things you have to solve to make a video game. But thank you both, gentlemen, so much for your time. And thank you to everyone in the audience. We really appreciate it. And to everyone watching at home, thanks.